The Cyrusher Kommoda 2.0 is not only eye-catching because of its bright color, but also because of some of the big component choices Cyrusher outfits their e-bikes with. But looks are not everything, so how does the Kommoda 2.0 perform? What are some of those big components that you should know about? And most importantly, what are some things that you should consider before purchasing from Cyrusher? Well, we'll get to all of that and more in this full review, but first, let's take a closer look. Hey everyone, I am JT from Ebike Escape. And before we get any further into the Kommoda 2.0 review, let's talk price. Kommoda 2.0 is offered at $18.99. Now, at time of filming, it was also on sale, so be sure to check the link in the description for the most current and up-to-date pricing. And if you make a purchase after clicking that link, there's a free and easy way to support us here at Ebike Escape. Thank you guys so much in advance for all the support. Now, at $18.99, the Kommoda 2.0 is a great value, being that it's full suspension, has a large rear motor, and overall has a really stunning appeal. Now, if this orange is not for you, Cyrusher does have other color options. They offer this orange. They also offer a green and a gray. And one of the nice things that we recommended the Kommoda 1.0 for, that we recommend the Kommoda 2.0 for as well, is going to be this extremely low step over height, which is going to allow you to get your foot through, and you don't have to get it up and over a top tube bar. Now, with this being a full suspension e-bike, you do have a shock in the way, but there is still room for you to get your foot through very easily. Now, I am a 5'7" rider with a 29-inch inseam, and here's how I fit on this bike. I don't have the seat up very high, but I can very easily get full leg extension. Now, this e-bike also tips our scales at a mere 83 pounds, and thanks to its robust build, also has a payload capacity of about 350 pounds. Now that's enough numbers and specs. Let's go ahead and bring you in close, start talking components. Let's start with a component that's really connecting you with the road, your tires. Now these are a 20 by 4-inch Chow Yang tire with a nice aggressive tread pattern here. And they are wrapped around a nice bright colored orange rim. And as we work our way in here to the center, you will notice this is a bolt-on skewer here for the front wheel. And helping you get slowed down, we have a 180 millimeter hydraulic disc brake rotor and a red Cyrusher branded hydraulic disc brake system. And then keeping you from getting splashed, we have these plastic fenders, both front and rear. And then as we come back up here to the front, here is probably the biggest visual draw of the Cyrusher, and that's going to be this dual crown front fork. Dual crown because it connects both to the bottom and the top of the headset. Now on the top of the fork here on the left, we have a preload adjustment knob, and on the right you have a compression knob. Now before I push on that front fork for you, I just want to show off the rear shock here. This is a DNM Air rear shock. That means that there are no knobs to adjust. You simply adjust the pressure in the rear if maybe you're a heavier or a lighter rider by adding or subtracting some air. Now, this cannot be done with your regular tire pump. You do need a special shock pump to do that. Now, let me go ahead and give it a couple quick pushes for you. Start with the rear. If I bounce my butt up and down on the seat, you can see the shock working. Definitely gonna help absorb some of those harsher roads. And then up in the front, we also get a good amount of travel there. And again, you can adjust that via the knobs on top if you wanted to. Now, one other big style cue that I'm sure most of you didn't miss is gonna be up here. Is going to be this headlight. This is a very bright moto-inspired style front headlight. It is listed as a 1,000 lumen front headlight. And then if we come around to the back of the bike, here's where we get a look at this really nice large brake light, which if I pull the brake lever for you, you can see it illuminates as a actual brake light here. And as we come in and work our way back up to the cockpit, we have the headlight mount here, and we have this nice rubber stop. Now that stop, if you turn your handlebars too much, contacts the frame and helps protect that nice Cyrusher paint job. A nice accessibility choice that Cyrusher has added as well is going to be this adjustable front stem, which you simply adjust by loosening that, and you can change the angle of your cockpit here. Starting over here on the left, we have these faux leather locking grips. Cyrusher branded brake lever with adjustment knobs, so you can adjust the pull on the actual lever. Now we have two pads here. This one over here on the right controls your display, turning the bike on and off. Then you also have your headlight button here, which is a click on, click off, as well as a horn button. Now that horn is located in the front headlight. And then we will come back to the display. As we come over to the right, we have our CIS thumb index 7-speed shifter, matching Cyrusher brake lever with adjustment knob, twist grip throttle over here on the right, and faux leather locking grip. And then as we come back to the center, here's a look at the nice Cyrusher color display. You have your battery percentage up in the left, you have your speed on the left, you have your trip odometer, pedal assist level, and then the wording down here adjusts to what pedal assist level you're in. So currently we are in eco, pedal assist level 1, 2 low, 3 normal, 4 high, 5 power. And of course, if you go all the way down to 0, it's listed as off. Now there aren't really any other metrics you can get out of the bike. Put it in pedal assist level 1, tilt the bike up and push the throttle. You will notice that as the speed starts to register, that outer circle there will fill up. And that circle, of course, associates to how much power the bike is giving you. Kind of nice to keep track of sometimes. Now, while it doesn't have many functions there, if you hold the up and down button at the same time, you can get into the display and advanced settings. Now, I need to get into the display settings to change the unit measure here anyway, because it's in kilometers an hour. So I do that by pushing the up and down button here, holding them down at the same time. You see you have two options here, display settings and advanced settings. We're going to go into display settings. Once you're in here, you push the power button to jump to the next menu. You can change wheel size, speed limit, how much backlight you're getting, and display unit. That's the one we want to get into, and push the power button here. We're going to change that to mile. And now to get out of it, you simply hold the power button until you jump back. Let's go ahead and keep cycling. We have auto offsetting, how long until the bike turns off. Battery display mode, whether it's in voltage or percentage. We have it listed in percentage. And you just have an overall about of the display. Now we're going to jump back again, and we're going to go into advanced settings. You can change your pedal assist range if you want to change how many pedal assist levels you have. You can change your speed magnetic number, as well as some other settings that could really change how strong and light the power comes in and out, and how overall that torque sensor feels. Then if you happen to mess something up and you don't like it, you can go here to factory reset, which will reset everything back to hopefully the settings that the bike was shipped with. And then driver mode setting here is our last one. Again, to jump back in menus, hold down the power button and we jump back to the main display. So yeah, while on the surface that display appears very basic, it does have some pretty good advanced functionality in there. Now, as we come down from the cockpit, we already kind of got to see the Cyrusher paint job here. Nice orange, fades all the way down to black. Here is a look at the rubber charging port plug, which allows you access to the charging port on the battery. Let's go ahead and pull out the battery real quick. Pull the battery out, you're gonna need the keys here. You're gonna put them in over here on the passenger side of the e-bike. Put them into the cylinder, twist towards the front of the bike, pull it back, the battery's gonna latch, and that's where you're gonna push the silver button here on the top, silver button right here, which is gonna drop this piece here and allow you to lift the battery out. Now, this is a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery, which equates to 960 watt hours. And Cyrusher estimates that thanks to that torque sensor, you should be able to get a range of about 68 miles. Looking around the battery, we have a power button here on the top, which if you hold it, illuminates an LED, gives you an idea of how much charge the battery actually has. Here is a close-up look at that charging port. The battery can be charged both on or off the bike. Here is a look at the specs. And on the bottom, we have this nice metal carrying handle, and we also have the connection there. Now, before we put this back into the bike, we do always recommend, if you're going to be traveling with your e-bike or you're gonna have your battery on and off your bike a lot, we always recommend our bike case battery bag here. This is water and flame resistant. This is the large, as this is a pretty large battery, but it's a nice way to help keep your battery protected. You can also use it while charging. I've heard some people do that. We sell these on our shop.ebikeescape.com store. And then to put the battery back in the bike, very easy. Simply line up the bottom and drop it in. Latches on there. Give it a little tug to make sure it's not gonna come out. See, I actually had it a little loose there. So I had to push down. You don't want any movement there in the battery. And the keys are only needed to take the battery out. Cyrusher includes a 3 amp charger, which is gonna allow you to charge this 20 amp battery from all the way at empty in just a mere 7 hours. Moving down from the battery, here's a look at that rear shock and how it is connected and mounted to the bike. We have these nice metal pedals, kickstand located back and out of the way, Kommoda branding here in the rear, matching Cyrusher red brake caliper and 180mm rotor. Above the brakes, we have this fairly nice looking rear rack. Now, as we come around to the other side, here's where we get a look at the motor and drivetrain. Now, the motor is listed as a 750 watt motor. See the Cyrusher branding there on the motor. We do not know what this bike is peaking at, but we're gonna be sure to put that to the test up our hill climb test. Stay tuned for that. It's gonna be coming up very soon. We also have a Shimano turning rear derailleur, which is moving the chain over a 14 to 28 tooth rear freewheel. And then if we follow the chain all the way up here to the front, we're greeted to a metal double-sided 52 tooth front chainring and matching pedal. Now this is a very soft seat, has some nice lines here, just adding a little bit of style cue as well as some white stitching. Very soft seat overall, definitely not a slimmed down bike seat like we've seen other manufacturers offer. Now, if you want to add a little bit of extra cushion on top of that rear shock, you want a little bit of extra suspension in the rear, we do also offer a suspension seat post on our shop.ebikescape.com store. Again, we'll have that link down in the description. Any support helps. Thank you guys so much in advance for all the support and the continued support. Now, with all of the componentry out of the way, how does the Kommoda 2.0 ride? How does that 750 watt motor handle our hill climb test? And then what are some things that you should know before you purchase your own or consider purchasing your own? Well, let's find out. All right, here we are at our flat ground riding test, show you what this motor is capable of on flat ground and what it's like to pedal overall. And then after this, we're going to do that hill climb test. We're really going to put that motor to the test. So here, starting out, the Kommoda 2.0, let's do a throttle only test. Now, I do have the bike overridden. That is in the display settings, but I have the bike turned up. I'm not sure if the throttle is going to cut off at 20 miles an hour or if it's going to allow me to go past it under throttle power alone. Now, one thing I did find out while riding over here is that if I'm in pedal assist level 1 right here and I give it full throttle, kind of get a nice, slow, gradual takeoff. But if I crank it up to pedal assist level 5, go ahead and slow down, and I'll take off in pedal assist level 5 here, like all the way slowed down, and I give it throttle now, definitely get a decent bit more power. I mean, we're already at 5, 6, 7 miles an hour. So the throttle is tied to your pedal assist level. So here we are, 15, 17, 18, pretty quickly, 19, 20. And yep, the bike is continuing to pull past that 20 mile an hour mark, which does make this bike fall into a bit of a gray area. There we go, 28, 29, almost 30 miles an hour here. And again, not pedaling at all. This is strictly under the power of the bike. So it looks like it's topping out somewhere right about 30 miles an hour. Now, quickly, for anybody not familiar with the pedal assist levels and the classifications of an e-bike, Class 1 e-bike doesn't have a throttle, so this is clearly not a Class 1. Class 2 e-bike has a throttle limit at 20 miles per hour and a pedaling limit of 20 miles an hour. And a Class 3 e-bike allows you to pedal up to 28 miles an hour assisted. So this bike, again, with its uncapped throttle, falls into a bit of a gray area and doesn't really fit into those classifications nicely. So be sure to follow all your local laws and regulations before you do this yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how this bike is to pedal. But first, talk about the comfort of the bike. Riding the e-bike, the Kommoda 2.0, very comfortable, thanks mostly to that full suspension nature. You get that nice cushion out of the rear, as well as you get that big, nice front suspension. And of course, thanks to that adjustable cockpit, allows you to put yourself in a very nice upright riding position or whatever comfortable position you find. So now let's go ahead and slow it down here. I have the bike in pedal assist level 1 and I am in gear 1 on the shifter here. And so starting out, we're getting, I don't know, up to almost about 7 miles an hour. Now I am gonna try and keep a nice easy cadence while doing all this riding because this is a torque sensor e-bike. So what that means for anybody who doesn't know, the more power I put in with my legs, the more power the bike is going to give me back. So if I, even right now, I'm settling in, nice, pretty easy cadence, not a lot of resistance on my legs, get about, I don't know, 9, almost 10 miles an hour. But if I add a little bit more effort, the bike's power meter there is gonna go up and it's gonna get me up to almost 12, 13 miles an hour there. Now, one of the big things that people like myself who don't mind cycling really enjoy is that a torque sensor bike feels more like a normal bike, just with that little bit of extra power given to you when you need it. So again, pedal level 1, gear 1, and we're getting about 9 miles an hour here. I would probably kick it up to second gear. Yeah, about second gear here. Feels pretty nice. Now, we are kind of limited on this bike as it is a 7-speed drivetrain overall. So what that means is that either at the high end or the low end of the power or pedaling that you're putting in, you're gonna have a little bit left to be desired there, as we typically see 11 to 30 tooth rear freewheels put on bikes now, and that just allows you to have that little bit of extra range, which is always nice. But even here now in gear 2, I'm putting in a nice amount of effort here on my legs. To go a little bit faster, I would probably kick up pedal assist level, and the bike didn't really add too much more power here. Still about 9, 10 miles an hour. Maybe a little bit less effort on my legs here, but I'm still keeping the same cadence. Okay, maybe we almost got a mile per hour more there. So there we go, kick it up again, pedal level 3. Definitely felt a little bit more power come on that time. And again, not a huge amount though, because we're still only going 10, 11 miles an hour. And that still, second gear feels pretty good on flat ground here for the amount of effort again that I'm putting in. Kick it up now, pedal assist level 4. And okay, maybe a little bit more effort here. You can actually see the power meter here has actually gone up a little bit. So it is giving you a little bit more power. But even now, gear 2 settling in 11 and a half miles an hour. And we kick it up, pedals to level 5. And yeah, 12 miles an hour cruising is pretty easy. And again, put in a little bit more effort on my legs, shift up to 3rd gear, 13 miles an hour there. I'd probably even kick it up almost to 4th now. And as I climb the gears, I'm putting in just a little bit more effort, and that's boosting up the power that the bike is giving me. So now here we are, 14 miles an hour. And the nice thing about torque sensor e-bikes, even now I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little bit tired. Let me just give myself a little bit more power. You can just roll on the throttle. And there we go, 14, 15 miles an hour. Bike takes over. You can add some of your own power here to get going. It is nice to have a torque sensor e-bike with a throttle so that it's there if you need it. And if you don't want to use it because you want some exercise that day, you don't have to use it. Now, one thing I am noticing here riding in pedals to level 5 is that the bike is a lot more sensitive to the amount of power it's giving. So as I'm not tripping the sensor, not putting in the right amount of effort, it's a little bit more abrupt to cut off power. And I am feeling that. Like if I stop for a sec, it's a little bit more startling per se. So I would probably ride around in about pedals to level 3 if it was me and I was just going to be cruising around. And I was okay with doing 12, 13 miles an hour. Here we go. We're going to take this turn. Let's go ahead and slow it down. And let's see how much effort we have to put in to get up to that top speed of 28 miles an hour. Now, I'm not going to give the bike any throttle here. I'm just going to do this all while pedaling. So we start out in gear 1. Yep, bike instantly jets, gives me a lot of power. Gear 2, gear 3, gear 4, gear 5, gear 6, gear 7. Again, decent amount of effort here on my legs, but if you can hear me talk, I'm not putting in too much effort that I'm exhausted or anything. Here we go, 23, 24 miles an hour, 25, and I'm pretty much starting to ghost pedal right here around 27 miles an hour. So the bike is capable of getting to that 20 mile per hour top speed, but it's gonna take a bit more effort from your legs to get to it just because of that gearing. Now with the flat ground riding there out of the way, how does this bike perform up our hill climb test? And can that motor make it? Let's find out. Here we are at the bottom of the hill climb test. Now this is the hill that I test all the bikes that I review on the channel on. Here we are, first time up, we're gonna go up via throttle power alone. Second time up, we're gonna go up with pedaling. So as we found out in the riding portion, we do need to crank up our pedal assist level so we get full power out of the throttle. So here we are heading up, looks like settling in around 12 miles an hour, steadily dropping. Now this is kind of the worst case scenario for any e-bike because these are bikes after all, so you should be putting in some of your own efforts. But this is just showing you what the motor is capable of. Now I am a 230 pound rider, so it is putting in work to get me up this hill, especially with this being a bike that's a little bit on the heavier side as well. There we are, 10 miles an hour. And it's not really, it doesn't feel like it's gonna settle down much more. Okay, we did touch 9 there, but the hill's pretty much ending here. And now, like any person that's riding a bike or an e-bike, I hope that you are willing to put in some of your own effort. So let's go ahead and flip it around and we'll talk about what the bike is capable of via pedaling coming up the hill. But on our way back down is the time when I like to give the brakes a good test. Now, I've never seen these Cyrusher branded brakes on any other bike, as they are Cyrusher brakes. But here we are, 25 miles an hour, hitting on the brakes. I'm gonna shift my weight back a little bit. And yeah, and those brakes, no problem slowing me down. Now let's go ahead and do that maybe 1 or 2 more times. As I always say, it's not the first time you hit the brakes that's gonna be the problem. It's the second or third once they get nice and hot. So yeah, there you go, locking up that rear wheel very easily. A little bit of sand and stuff on the road still from wintertime here in Wisconsin. But there we are. Now one more time, getting up to about 20 miles an hour, 23, 24, 25, and slamming on those brakes. Yeah, no problem getting the bike slowed down. It is nice too, because I could actually shorten that throw a little bit, I think, by adjusting these knobs here on the brake levers. Not something we see very often. You do see those on higher end mountain bike brakes, things like that, but it is nice to see them on a bike with this great of a price. All right, so here we are at the bottom of the hill again. Shift all the way down to first gear and start down in pedal assist level 1. Now, I don't have real high hopes for this, simply because that rear gear is only a 28 tooth. So where if it was a 32 or something like that, I might have a little bit more confidence that I was going to be able to pedal up the hill. But yeah, here we are. I'm putting in a decent amount of effort here and 6 miles an hour. Now, this is a torque sensor bike, so if I was willing to put in a little bit more effort, I'd get 7, 8 miles an hour, but that's not really sustainable for the long term, for most people rather. So here we are, pedal level 2, getting up to about 8. I'd almost kick it up to 3 here. 4, there we go. Okay, definitely felt the pressure come off my legs there. And here we are, about 8 miles an hour. Pretty leisure amount of cadence and overall the amount of effort I'm putting in with my legs. But I would probably kick it all the way up to pedal level 5 here to get up this hill. And here we are, 8, almost 9 miles an hour. So, okay, I'm sorry, 8.5 miles an hour. So overall, not really too much effort to get up the hill, but it is a little bit more. Now, we did also start out at a really slow speed, so trying to build your speed as you're going up the hill takes a little bit more effort from you and the bike. But if you started out the hill at the bottom in maybe pedal level 5 with the same amount of effort, you should be able to maintain your speed going up the hill, no problem. All right, and there you guys have it. That is what the Cyrusher Kommoda 2.0's motor is capable of. So what are some reasons you should and should not consider the Cyrusher Kommoda 2.0 for your next e-bike? Well, let's throw to some third-person riding footage and let's talk about it.
The Cyrusher Kommoda 2.0 blends style with functionality, making it a standout choice for riders who want an e-bike that is not only fun to look at, but also to ride. I know Cyrusher for delivering models with unique colorways and components that transform standard bike frames into e-bikes that really pop. And the Kommoda 2.0 is just that. Now, something that I'm happy to say is different about Cyrusher from the past is that they used to lean more into a premium pricing for their e-bikes, but recently they've adjusted their pricing, putting the Kommoda 2.0 at just $16.99, which puts it well into the same ballpark as similarly spec'd e-bikes, a big win for your wallet. Right off the bat, the Kommoda 2.0 looks and feels dialed in for that price. Its biggest highlight is its full suspension. Yes, we hear you in the comments section. You all want full suspension for that increased comfort, which is why we wanted to give this e-bike a test. With its dual crown front fork and adjustable rear air shock and 20x4-inch fat tires, all those components do nothing but smooth out all of the bumps, giving you a nice cushy and comfortable ride. The adjustable stem and brake levers also help you tweak things to fit you, giving it that choose your own adventure vibe that we love. Keeping you safe on that adventure, Cyrusher has outfitted the Kommoda 2.0 with its big and bright lighting setup. The 1000 lumen front headlight and bike power taillight are really hard to miss. Not missing on this bike also though is fenders and a rear rack, which help you on that adventure. And another commonly not thought about benefit of the smaller 20x4-inch fat tires is just that, they're smaller, making them easier to handle and lowering that overall standover height. And don't get me wrong, they're not small in size overall, they're just not the behemoth like the full 26x4-inch fat tires that we commonly see, making this a great choice if you're a smaller rider. The Kommoda 2.0 features a 7-speed Shimano drivetrain paired to a 14 to 28 tooth freewheel, which, while very functional, feels a bit basic and entry level. The torque sensor, unlike a cadence sensor, requires you to put in a bit more effort to activate that motor's power. So the torque sensor pairing with the 14 to 28 tooth gear choice, particularly at higher speeds, require a good amount of effort and becomes quite challenging to achieve. And though torque sensors do offer more efficiency and a natural pedaling experience, I found it very hard to reach speeds of 28 miles per hour. The gearing and torque sensor combination do seem a bit better suited for lower speeds of around 20 miles per hour. And despite the motor having quite a bit of power, the bike's 84-pound weight and torque sensor-based riding system meant that I had to work quite a bit harder on our test climb, as well as to hit that top speed. Fortunately though, there is a throttle, which provides a workaround for all these drawbacks, though it does come at the cost of a reduced range. Speaking of range, the 20 amp hour battery is big and is paired with a 3 amp charger, so you'll definitely be able to put down some miles with this combination. Cyrusher has a claimed range of 68 miles, and that does feel very achievable, though your mileage may vary, pun intended. Plus the battery is top load, which makes it even easier to access. Quick note, fat tire bikes do have all of their advantages, but those larger tires do add rolling resistance, something that will directly affect your overall efficiency. I love that Cyrusher included so many adjustable items on the Kommoda 2.0, because as we all know, all riders are not created equal. Heck, just look at Ryan and I. Most notable on this bike though are the brake levers. I love being able to adjust that braking point, though be careful when tweaking those levers, as I was able to overdo it a bit and no longer was able to activate the taillight or motor cutoffs. And while the Cyrusher branded brakes aren't really name brand like Tektro or Shimano, they held up fine for my ride, even on the hills. Something towards the end of my ride that I realized was missing was bottle cage bosses. A small nitpick, but no worries, we have options for you at shop.ebikeescape.com thanks to our strap mount water bottle cage. For $16.99, you get an e-bike with distinctive styling and a unique component lineup. By the way, the Kommoda 2.0 is currently on sale, so check the affiliate link down below or give that QR code a scan. Both of those are free and easy ways to support us here at Ebike Escape, and we really appreciate it. All in all, the Cyrusher Kommoda 2.0 is a stylish, feature-packed e-bike that's great if you're after a unique ride with a solid comfort and customization. It's not perfect, the drivetrain is basic, and that torque sensor does demand effort, but for a full suspension cruiser that turns heads, it's a strong pick. I would like to add that we don't have a good read on Cyrusher support, good or bad, as this is a brand that we have featured a bit less on our channel. They do have a Facebook community, which could be a good resource for would-be purchasers. So what do you think? Does Cyrusher nail it better than their competition? Got an e-bike that you want us to review next? Drop it in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out, ride safe everyone, and I will catch you all in the next one.